It's Ken Harbaugh in the center of Kyiv at the Maidan, the plaza at the heart of the city where the revolution actually began in 2014. Since then, a makeshift memorial has sprung up to honor the thousands, the tens of thousands of Ukrainians who have fought defending their country. Every single one of these flags at my feet represents a Ukrainian fallen in battle. They've been placed there by family members, sometimes by members of the unit that lost the soldier. You'll sometimes see people kneeling down and taking care of the flag that honors their loved one. I thought this would be the ideal place to introduce my conversation with Shaun Pinner, a Brit, but one who served in the Ukrainian military because he was married to a Ukrainian living in Mariupol in the south of Ukraine when the Russians launched their full-scale invasion. This is one of those rare interviews where it got real after the formal part of the interview ended and after I turned the camera off. I'm glad I got the camera back on in time because Shaun just opens up about the experience of Russian captivity. His unit was overwhelmed, surrounded, and he fell into Russian hands. And I won't give away much more except to provide a few bits of context. You will hear other voices chiming in. That's my production crew with questions about Shaun's experience. Shaun also talks about a few locations that I don't interrupt to provide context for. He mentions Mariupol, where he's from. If you know anything about Mariupol, it's probably because of the theater there that women and children, hundreds of them, sought refuge in during the Russian assault. They actually made a sign, a massive sign in the front of the theater that said kids, to tell Russian pilots, the Russian military, that there were children inside. It didn't matter. They destroyed the theater anyway. Shaun also mentions Bucha, the site of a horrific Russian massacre in the opening weeks of the war. I've been to Bucha. I have seen it myself. I will let the rest of my conversation with Shaun speak for itself, but just a thank you to all of those who supported this trip, who have signed up for my Substack page. You made this possible. Here's my conversation with Shaun Pinner.
And the electrocution, I know it's a painful memory, but I'm wondering, like, for example, does your heart start to feel weird when you're getting, is it mostly pain at the extremity?
It's really quiet. Because one, nobody wants to touch you because you're being electrocuted. Yeah. That's one thing. And you sort of, I was sort of tied to the front legs of a chair. So when I was electrocuted, I was trying to stand up in the chair, literally standing up in the chair when they did it. And all you can hear is the tick, 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 tick of the electric going through you. But generally, it's really quiet. You can't scream. You can't, because everything's fucking wide shut. Yeah. So generally, it's like 30 seconds of being, quiet, but it's so intense. And then when you turn it off, you just flake back down. So I put it in the book as well. I let out this massive fire because all your organs just relax. And when I was being dragged back to my cell, I could hear the two guards talking, and one of them went, and I was thinking, this is the worst day of my, getting back in the cell going, this has got to be the worst day of my life now. But the comedic value is something, how we deal with that. It's how we process it. Many soldiers have this comedic value because it's how we talk about it. So we make jokes of it, but it's still very emotional. At that point, I thought I was going to die because they'd done it 3 or 4 times, and I was just collapsed in chair. I was just dribbling. I couldn't even move. And the next morning, my legs blew out quite large. They looked like elephant legs with blood coming from the capillaries where they'd been electrocuted, and I just couldn't walk because it must have been a power going to the floor through the shock. So it was really in a really bad way.
And they didn't want anything.
Not really. They don't use torture like that. What they're doing is they want you to admit to places you haven't done and did things you probably haven't done and places you haven't been. So that's how they use it, and it's really effective. I use the Crocus massacre suspects as an example. They went through exactly the same thing as I did. I don't know if they did it or not, But I know damn well in Britain, we don't cut off their ears, electrocute their genitalia, stick them on social media, create a trial by public opinion within days of the massacre, and then throw them in a court, make them do confessions to our newspapers, and they're all going, yeah, with a black eye, missing ear. One of them's unconscious in court, and I go, yep, guilty, never see him again. It's just how I was in the same system, the same stages. So you're sitting there not given any chance to even mount a defense. And you've got 3 judges now giving you the death penalty for something you haven't done.
Hey everyone, it's Ken Harbaugh. Quick break to say just how grateful I am for all of your support for this channel and for this show. We have a big reporting trip coming up to Ukraine. I could use your help. We have to cover the film crew, interpreters, fixers, security. It's a whole thing, but it is worth it to be able to share with you and others what is actually happening on the ground there. I just published a feature story in The Atlantic about my last trip where I embedded with the drone unit at the front. Click the link below for the full article, and we'll be putting out more great fact-based reporting over Substack. Please consider subscribing. Everything I make from Substack and Patreon goes back into this show. Thanks for the help. And that death penalty still hangs over you.
Yeah. But in Russia, there is no death penalty. But they will keep me for life in a gulag if they catch me again for something I haven't done. Yeah. So they just won't. And they're doing that to not just me. I was in prison with Ukrainian civilians. A 19-year-old train driver was electrocuted. People that had nothing to do with the military. And this is the message we try and get out to people, that if Russia do get in, it's going to be another butcher. You won't see me again or any Westerner here. We'll be on the other side of the camera doing this all with them. And by the end of it, you'll be admitting to things like you've seen Elvis. You're going to say, yeah, aren't you? If you're being electrocuted, starved, beaten, eventually you're just going to go, yeah, I did. Yeah, he's working in my chip shop. Yeah, it's just, you're going to eventually so they know that's a really good way of using torture, because it gets you to admit to things you haven't done and places you haven't been. And that's how they use it.
It's beyond frustration than what you're seeing in U.S. policy. You've been absolutely relaxed about talking about the craziness when you're looking at Trump, and you said the 12 hours are crazy, 24 hours a day. I'm going to use that, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Please.
But when do you get enraged? When is that? Are you always fighting that rage of what you're saying with the way that Ukraine is treated or presented, especially when it comes to even U.S. authorities just spouting Russian disinformation like it's something that's real?
It's all to do with money. And I, being a soldier for 13 years, you don't really get political. And I found now, since my springboard into the political world, thanks to the Russians, I'm very political because I see things for what they are. I mean, it's all money. It's all business deals and money at the expense of people and lives on the ground. When you hear Trump say something along the lines of, Zelensky is responsible, the guy walked into a door the other day, and you just think, how the hell does he know about anything? And you just see, when you start to dig deeper, and then you see on platforms like X, where you have RT selling their wares on X for their platform on Rumble, and then you sit there and the same journalist that's in front of you, who was calling you a Nazi with the FSB, is platforming his show on X that you can see on Rumble, and then you dig deeper and you think, who are the investors in Rumble? Oh, yeah, J.D. Vance, all of Trump's mob. So you just sit there and you realize it's all about the money. And it's about getting views and money and advertising from Russia for their Rumble platforms. For RT get to platform that on Rumble. They get to use X to push out their adverts on there. And people don't know this. And people are suffering. The women and children, there are over 25,000 people in Mariupol. The Bucha massacre, Irpin, the children's hospital in Kiev. And then, people here who live it every day see someone like Trump say it's Zelensky's fault. Where'd you go with that?
Yeah. I'm good. That was an excerpt of my interview with Shaun Pinner. For the full-length version on Valor Media Network, click the link below. And a huge shout out to Phil Ittner for letting me use his studio in Kyiv. Please check out his podcast, On the Edge. The link is also below. Thanks. And apologies for the flickering lights. We're in the hotel bomb shelter. It sometimes happens. See you tomorrow.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.